Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Secrets of the Sire. We do this every week. We talk about comic books, comic book movies, TV shows, pop culture, you know, all the fun stuff that everyone likes to talk about. Thanks to all the folks joining us via Facebook. We're on facebook.com/Secrets of the Sire. We're also on Periscope sometimes, which is what we're trying to do right now. It's at Michael_Dolce. As always, I'm your host, Michael Dolce, with my co-host, Hassan Godwin.
Hello, good evening.
Should we come up with like a nickname for you or something? Or like some sort of like thing?
King of the Earth.
King of the... well,
Lord of the Radio.
Oh, okay. All right, we'll do that.
Lord
I like
of the
that
radio.
one. Yeah, that one works out really good.
We'll do Lord of the Radio.
That one, King of the Earth is a little too... it's a little too pretentious.
It's a little too on the nose. I understand. We get you.
Well, you never want to do... you don't want to be too on the nose,
you don't want
right?
to... Yeah, you don't want to... You don't want to... I don't have a pun.
You got nothing for me?
I have nothing.
You got nothing for me?
You want to keep selling the milk. You don't want to give away the cow. I understand what you're saying. It's metaphorical. It's categorically metaphorical.
I don't even know what that even means.
I don't know. I'm just
right.
I'm burning time here, man.
That's good. That's exactly what. I want to welcome all of our usual folks on Periscope, which we just got there. We want to welcome Brian
Hello,
Phillips.
usual folks
up there as well too. So tonight we got a great episode because we always have a great episode, right?
Is it a great episode?
I think it's always a great episode, right?
I think so.
I think so.
I think every episode that has ever been has been the greatest episode we've ever done.
That's a good point. Mm-hmm. That's a very good point, actually.
Till next week, and then that's the greatest episode. It increases exponentially.
Well, that's a good point as well too. I think just in general, you are living up to your nickname of
Lord of the Radio.
Lord of the. So I was going to say King of the Radio.
I'm King of the Earth, Lord of the Radio.
Right.
Come on, man.
All right, are you snowed in and looking to entertain the kids? Fun Food Flip is the game for you. Each player gets dealt a hand of food cards and must come up with the most gross, most interesting, and most delicious combinations for each of the 4 courses. Just wait till you see what your kids come up with. If you like apples to apples, you'll love Fun Food Flip. Go to funfoodflip.com.
Do it.
So we got Justin Gray coming on. He's doing a new Kickstarter called Jailbait and Trailer Trash. So I immediately right off the bat can't wait to ask him about the title.
It's a family title he's been working on all this time, right?
Well, it's a family-friendly book.
Yeah,
clearly.
It sounds like it.
Yeah, there's no question about it.
I'm looking forward to that.
No question about it. So I'm looking
show
forward
my
to
kids that.
I want to welcome Brian Phillips and Randy Hogan, who are our loyal followers as well too on Facebook. Brian Phillips is actually one of our loyal patrons, so I'd like to have him there too.
We'd like more loyal patrons.
Oh yeah, the more the better. To be honest with you. But tonight we're going to start with kind of a continuation of what we started with last week, though, right? I mean. It just keeps piling
the Affleck
on,
drama.
right? It just keeps piling
affliction.
on. I think that's a good way to put it, though. So they lost Matt Reeves. Matt Reeves was the director of Planet of the Apes. He was in talks to direct The Batman.
Right, and remember when we had said this before, I unwisely said, well, at least Ben still wants to be Batman.
Right.
And that's how, I, at the time, as Lord of the Radio, I was just trying to calm everyone.
Yeah. Now, Dan T. Lawson already chimed in, but we're gonna save his comments for a little bit later, because we're going to run down who we want to see as Batman. But first we want to talk about the actual... boy, oh boy.
But now the new development is that he's not even, like... First of all, Ben Affleck's not directing. Ben Affleck doesn't want to be director anymore.
Mm-hmm.
Just to recap the previous episodes. Last time on
correct.
Secrets of the Sire.
And now, a week after entering negotiations to direct The Batman, Matt Reeves has exited the talks.
Has decided to say kick a rock.
A studio source confirms the negotiations have broken down. You wonder what those negotiations were. They're like, we want you to make a
Israeli
shitty Batman
Palestinian
movie.
peace
and
talks
like, no.
have broken down.
Well, you can imagine, like Warner Brothers, like, we want you to make a shitty Batman movie, and he's like, no, I want to make a good Batman movie.
And they're like, no,
make a shitty one.
No, we can't.
I can't
have
work
a good
with that.
movie. that would seriously conflict with the other movies we've already made. We can't make them good. Sorry.
So James Quirandongo just joined us and said, "Who see this?" I don't know what that means, but hey, we are live.
It's a strange language.
The comments. Everyone sees the comments. That's the best part.
Right. If you're chimed in, if you're locked in.
This is the kind of interaction you can't. You
can't get this at hhome, folks.
But you could call in. You can
here.
actually call in. Now, Fica Leone, we got Fica Leone, man. He wants the chin hair to be punched off my face. 877-480-4120.
You owe that guy money? Is that what it is? I just want to know.
James Quirandingo just said, "Me English are good." Welcome, Steve Gillen. Welcome to everybody who joins. Now, eventually we're going to get to a point where we actually have like countless and countless people, so I won't be able to shout your names on the interwebs unless you're a patron. Go to michaeldolce.com. It'll go to our
Special
Patreon
treatment.
page. You can do all that stuff. It's
and
good.
pay to be called out.
All right, so this is what we got to come down to. A couple questions came into mind. First, I shot over to you. I said, "Who do you think should take over as Batman? Give me your top 5 directors."
Yeah, man, my top 5.
All right, see, I made Hassan do research for this,
Yeah.
which was very good.
I picked Alex Proyas.
What has he done?
Did The Crow. He did.
Is he still even relevant?
He did iRobot.
Oh, okay, very nice.
He is
sort of relevant.
He is relevant, but not for good reason. Okay, he also
Okay.
did Gods of Egypt, which was a tremendous flop.
Yeah. Oh, that's right. See,
So
it
that's
took me
why-
It took me a second to process exactly
Yeah.
what movie you were talking about.
Yeah,
It was the
Gods-
one that no one saw.
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
Yeah, with the
gotcha.
Scottish guy who was an Egyptian guy.
There was no whitewashing going on.
None. That doesn't exist. Robert Rodriguez is my next one. But this would be changing the entire format.
Yeah.
And having him do a perfect adaptation of The Dark Knight Returns, as he did with Sin City. Yes,
You
can
can't
be done.
do it though now.
Can be done.
No, it can be done, but it can't be done now.
Sure it can.
Because it sort of was done.
Sure, it can. You didn't ask whether it could
Good
be
point.
done.
No,
you
no,
asked
all right.
me
Fair
who
enough,
I would pick.
fair enough.
All
I like
right?
your rules. I
Look,
like your
man,
rules.
you want more defined
Welcome,
parameters.
Scott Klein. We know Scott Klein.
You write them all down. Danny Boyle, who did 28 Days Later.
That's a great
And
selection.
Trainspotting.
That's a great selection.
Okay.
That would
Thank
give
you.
a very alternative take to the film, and I think
Yeah,
that's
it was a little gritty,
fantastic
kind
film.
of realism, and he's got a good visual eye.
Okay,
I think so.
I think that'd be fantastic.
Okay, Edgar Wright. He did Shaun of the
Shaun
Dead.
of the Dead, no,
Scott
that'd
Pilgrim.
be like
He does comics. I'm just saying.
that'd be like Kevin. Well, no, I know, but I'm allowed to comment on your
No,
list.
you're not. No.
I mean that
No,
is
we
like
didn't-
we are a talk
We did
radio
not
show
talk about
on
that,
talkradio.nyc.
though. You talk to the others. You don't talk to me. I'm the Lord of the Radio. What's the matter with you? What's wrong with you? No, seriously, what's wrong with you?
No, I'm reading.
All right.
I'm reading massive comments.
Don't read the comments, because they're probably all bad and they're about me.
No. We've got some good ones. We've got some good selections. So, all right, who's number 5?
Matthew Vaughn. He did Kick-Ass. He did X-Men First Class.
X-Men First Class, yeah.
And he did Kingsman.
X-Men First Class is great. And Kingsman was very, very good.
Yeah.
I think that's your best.
Take a back seat.
I think that's your best selection.
No.
I think it's your best one.
No, Danny Boyle is the best. Guy Ritchie. I threw that one in there. That's why I threw that one. I had others.
Your number 1 was like the guy who did that flop that no one watched.
He was the first one I thought of. That the first one I read off does not necessarily mean he's my number 1.
Okay. Oh,
Okay?
this is a no. So you got to.
No, you didn't say.
How are you, Lord of the Radio?
Lord of the Radio would count them down if there was a countdown.
Oh, okay, good point.
Thank you.
Good point.
Lord of the Radio knows
Good
what he's
point.
doing.
Good point.
Listen to me. This is my show now. I also said the Coen Brothers, but that's like deep, dreamy, wishful thinking. Yes, and it can be done. It can be done. I also said Len Wiseman.
That's like saying Tarantino should direct it.
Tarantino should,
and he should do like an Adam West, retread.
You never said that certain directors could not be eligible.
Oh no,
for it.
everyone's eligible.
Everyone I pick.
I'm just not saying it's a great idea.
Everyone I pick has some kind of affiliation with the comic book genre.
Okay.
Although, if
Fair
I
enough.
had my dream, I would have put Ridley Scott in there. Ridley Scott would make a darn good Batman.
I would love to see Ridley Scott direct a Batman movie.
In the Crusades.
I'm gonna throw a name out at you.
Oh, don't throw names at me.
Zack Snyder.
What is the matter with you? Didn't we discuss this like week after week after week since I got here?
But wasn't like the first part of Batman v Superman plus like most of Man of Steel basically like a Batman movie, and then he kind of like he's like, oh yeah, wait a minute, I'm doing Superman.
That's what was wrong with it.
Oh no, I agree. That's exactly what's wrong with it. So like, let's remedy this right now.
See,
let's have Zack Snyder do an actual, which is what I think he's wanted
the Batman
to do.
movie.
Do a movie that he wanted to do.
He's got bad capital.
Well,
he's got bad capital.
What if Justice League turns out to be fantastic?
Then he'll have bad capital, but accidentally have done a good movie.
All right, we want to hear from you guys. Call in again, 877-480-4120. It's a call-in show. We'd love to hear from you guys. Call in. Schumacher. We got that as one of the comments.
No,
and you can comment on the Facebook
Who suggested Schumacher? All right,
that was James.
No, James.
James.
No.
I'm going to pronounce his name wrong. Quirindongo. Is that did I
Quirindongo,
pronounce?
yes,
I think I
that's
did
his
that
name.
right. But yeah, so this is who I thought. Now, I actually
might
posted
know
this
that guy.
on my Facebook page, and I posted this out there to the world. And Jack O'Donnell, who's been on the show before, he was an esteemed guest on the show before. He had a great idea. M. Night Shyamalan.
Yeah, everyone's
think
going to
about
start
that?
suggesting him now because he made a good movie.
Well,
and,
isn't that the
and
fun,
everyone's
that's
going to
the
forget
funniest
that
thing.
the last 5 or 6 years where he was basically giving us all the finger every time we sat down to see one of his
as
movies.
we talked about a few weeks ago, though,
Mhm.
I mean, he made, I think, one of the best comic book movies ever in Unbreakable.
Unbreakable.
And he's got the dark thing going on, and
Wait,
you know,
what's that mean?
oh, you know exactly what it means. It means that he's racially dark skinned.
Yes,
which is clearly
that's exactly what I
clearly.
meant. How dare you?
In fact, that's the working title for the
I
new
find
movie.
it impossible
the
to continue
racially
with the
dark
show.
skinned
Yes.
knight is the next title for the movie.
no, that's what the knight in M Night means.
Well, yeah.
All right. Okay, let's get off that. Jump off that.
No, but I mean that's an interesting idea. Now,
No, it's not interesting.
No, not the racially dark.
No,
knight.
M Night Shyamalan.
That's actually it's very catchy. I
The
think
racially dark knight?
The racially
I'll
dark.
do it. I want to be in that movie.
You could be that.
I
movie.
will. I
That
will
is
be
your
the
movie.
racially
That's-
dark knight.
That is
Lord
the
of the
Hassan
Radio.
Godwin movie.
That's the full title.
That is the movie right
Yeah.
there. Daquan Kane suggested Darren Aronofsky. What do you think of that?
I passionately don't like Darren Aronofsky.
I think you actually just like
I threw up
you were
a little
like you
in my
did,
mouth.
didn't you? You
Yeah.
actually. I was going to say
I can't. I can't.
No?
I can't.
No?
Not since what was that? The Fountain. He made this movie called
Black
The Fountain.
Swan was pretty good.
Sure.
Now Sam Leibowitz, who's actually right here, also commented and he thinks Peter Jackson.
Peter Jackson would probably make a good Batman movie.
Patrick, our intern, just threw his arms up in rejoicing.
Yeah, I thought he was giving me the finger like he usually
Patrick,
does.
do not kiss up to the boss. Okay, that's the first question. Don't ever, in fact, go against the boss.
No, keep kissing up to the boss. That's how you become the boss. That's how it works.
Jordana said, "Someone get Godwin a bucket." I agree. You don't throw up in your mouth. Throw up out in the rest of the
I
studio.
threw up a little in the mouth, but it's over. It's over. I swallowed it back. I sucked it up for the radio.
I think Darren Aronofsky. I think Black Swan
No.
was a very good movie.
No,
think
did you
it's
see The
definitely
Fountain?
worth-
Go see The
No,
Fountain.
I haven't seen The Fountain.
See, that's why you think he's all right.
Okay, that's fair enough.
See The
Fair
Fountain.
enough. Stephen Sommers.
No.
No, Daquan, you're
those-
striking out.
Those two mummy movies? Mm-mm.
Yeah, okay.
And he also did Van Helsing.
All right,
Come on now.
Steve McQueen.
Steve McQueen.
All right, when we come back,
Steve
we're going to bring
McQueen.
Justin Gray on. We're going to ask him who he'd like to see
Yeah.
direct the Batman.
Yeah,
he's
save
a
us.
DC Comics writer after all, so it'd be a
Who
really
said
good.
Steve McQueen.
that-
Steve
I-
McQueen is
That's
dead.
it. That's it. Well, I
You'd
didn't
make a terrible movie
I
if you're
didn't
dead.
say. I didn't say like living. I just said, who do you want to see direct the Batman?
He's dead, man. There's no movie.
And when we come back as well, too, I'm going to pose the bigger question about the movie as well.
Oh, can't wait.
That's what we call a tease.
Yeah, a little bit.
You're listening to the Talking Alternative Network.
Hello, I'm JC.
I'm Joan, and welcome to 21st Century Entrepreneur.
We bring education,
Insight,
knowledge,
awareness,
trouble
craziness, and fun,
for you, the entrepreneur who's looking to build your business.
and your community. Listen every Friday from noon to 1 Eastern on talkradio.nyc. And you can tweet us at 21st CE Radio or Talk Alternative.
Talking Alternative Radio, 24 hours a day.
welcome back to Secrets of the Sire. We do this every week. We talk about comic books, comic book movies, TV shows, pop culture, everything revolving around all that fun.
Naval Lint.
What's that?
We talk about Naval Lint.
And Naval Lint?
Yeah,
We haven't talked about that in a while.
One time we did.
We haven't talked about that in a while.
That was a great show. That was a great show.
I want to welcome my guest. He is a author and graphic novelist. He's worked for DC Comics, among many other media companies and content providers as well. He also co-created The Monolith, which is in development at Lionsgate. Mr. Justin Gray, how's it going?
Good. How are you?
I'm doing pretty good. So you're a DC guy, so we're gonna segue right into what we were talking about before, right into a question for you. What's going on with the Batman, and can we find someone to direct this film?
I don't know. It shouldn't be that hard. It's Batman. It's one of the greatest characters ever created, but I don't make those kinds of decisions. That's above my pay grade.
Maybe you should. That's the key, I think, is getting you involved in there. Who would you like to see as a director of the Batman? Off the top of your head, completely spontaneous.
Oh my God,
that's a tough question. Right?
You didn't set him up.
Michael Cassavetes.
No, I didn't send him questions in advance. Why would I do that? That's crazy. What do you think?
Well, on second thought, I would say.
Oh wait, you missed the first choice.
Young Ridley Scott.
Oh, okay.
See?
All right. So my co-host Hassan said the exact same thing. He'd love to see Ridley Scott. I think it's a great selection. I would love to see Ridley Scott do a Batman movie.
Scott would kick butt.
See, this is Justin. This is why you're a quality guy. Talk to us
But
about.
I would also go see the Tony Scott Batman probably twice.
Ooh. All right. Yeah. I'd have to. All right. Both very excellent answers. All right. So talk to us about your new Kickstarter. First of all, the title I think is just crazy, outrageous. Trailer trash and jailbait.
It is a little salacious.
Yeah. Actually, it's jailbait and trailer trash, right? I got that mixed up.
Yes.
That's all right.
Yes, it is jailbait and trailer trash.
They'll find it somewhere. So talk to us about this. What is this book, and how did you guys come up with the title?
It's a title that I've had for quite a long time, and it's gone through very different iterations and ideas. But I decided that it was a good title for an anthology of certain types of characters that I wanted to tell stories about that I couldn't normally tell stories about in any other of the outlets that I had available to me. Mm-hmm. It sounds very salacious, but it's not as salacious as it sounds. It's kind of ridiculous, but it definitely grabs your attention.
Sure. Are you worried it's gonna, like, in this PC age, and feminism is significantly influencing today's comics? Do you think people are going to take the wrong approach to it?
No, I mean, they may take the wrong approach to it. I don't know. I don't have that much control over it. I think if people are looking at everything at face value, then we're all in trouble. But the reality is it's not the kind of story that I could tell anywhere else, because it's about characters who are multi-layered, multifaceted, who aren't exactly what they look like, isn't necessarily who they are. I had a discussion with someone who stated that one of the characters she's a bartender, and she was played as, she appeared very sexually appealing, and yet she was the smartest character in the story. Mm-hmm. And that's the point. I mean, if you've ever known someone who's a bartender, male or female, part of their job is selling the bar and selling themselves to get tips, because they're not getting paid a lot of money. So a lot of times all you have is that physical interaction with people. So you might see someone who presents themselves as one thing, but in reality they're the complete opposite.
Do you have multiple stories in this anthology, or you just have one? And who else is involved?
No, there are 3 core stories, and I worked with David Brame, Paul Tucker, and Homar Soriano. I don't know if I say Homar correctly. And those are the artists on the 3 main stories. And then when I was looking at doing the Kickstarter, I wanted to do something different. And instead of offering things, I wanted to offer more content. I wanted to offer more stories. So I have 2 other stories as stretch goals in there, one by an artist I've worked with before, Rafa Gars, and an artist, Amike Nefilan. I'm sorry if I don't pronounce that correctly, because we've never actually spoken in person, but we've talked online.
Then he won't.
So I wanted it to be very diverse stories about very different kinds of people. And if you look at the Kickstarter, it tells you a lot about where my head was at when I was working on this. And it's not, and I look at all the stuff I've done in comics, and I think what haven't I done? I haven't done something that's like Barry Gifford and John Lynch. I haven't done something that is more character and literary driven outside of a genre. So this is something that's very, very close to me and something that I've really been dying to do for a long time.
Mm-hmm. And is this your first Kickstarter or no?
This is my second Kickstarter, and the first one was for a children's chapter book.
Okay.
Which is the complete opposite of this, content-wise.
I would say you've pretty much you've hit both.
I know,
spectrums
and I'm running sort of difficult situation where it doesn't seem possible that I can't be put in a box. Like if I do one thing, then that must be the thing I do. Like I can't possibly do something like Jailbait and Trailer Trash and write a responsible chapter book for kids who are 9 to 12. And I find that mind-boggling that there is resistance to that this perception that can't possibly come out of the same mind. Amazing to me.
I think it's a branding thing, right? I mean, at the end of the day, the work you put out tends to brand you.
It is, and I'd like to break that. I'd like to break away from that because I think people, and a lot of that is in these stories, is that people aren't one thing. You could say in superhero comics, the guy puts on a suit and he's a hero or he's a villain, and that's who he is. And you get into the minutia, and people like to dig down into the little details of those things, but that's what that person is. And the reality is, human beings are much more complicated than that. And I'm at a point where I really enjoy the fact that people aren't cardboard cutouts and pastiche images of morality or individuality. And a lot of that was, this is a book I couldn't do anywhere else except for Kickstarter.
Sure.
So I really fully invested in doing that.
Well, now you're working with Devil's Due, though, on the Kickstarter, right?
No, this is me, my Kickstarter.
Completely you. Okay, all right, excellent. So this is good. For some reason, I thought it was with Devil's Due. For some reason, this is awesome. So this is completely your following. Do you find the Kickstarter experience to be more challenging than working with a traditional publisher, or because the rewards? I mean, the amount of preparation. I mean, I don't think people realize how much work. I've done 3 Kickstarters, 2 successful Kickstarters. I mean, it's it's a lot of work. Like, it's crazy work.
It is. I slept like 3 hours last night.
Yeah.
Because I was going to launch at noon today, and that's ridiculous, So I like being personally invested in something. I like doing work for companies. I like having publishers, put my work out there. It's obviously a much louder megaphone, but there's also a much larger cut into it and a much more narrow presentation of material that you can sort of funnel through this because there's so much money on the back end and so many people are involved in it.
Sure.
And I feel like it's very encouraging and exciting to do something at a Kickstarter level where people that are investing in what you're doing are people that wouldn't normally have access to this material because the system is not set up to put that material through. Sometimes it is, sometimes it isn't. In this particular case, this is something I would take to any publisher, I think. I don't think there's any publisher I would have taken this to where they would have been like, yeah, that's great. I think we should do that. It's going to sell 1 million copies. Which, not every idea is $1 million idea, but there's no reason why you shouldn't try and find ways to create on every end of the spectrum. You shouldn't just be locked into a genre or a presentation or people saying you're this guy. Yeah. You're the guy who writes space soap operas. I just think that that's something that has to change. And the way the internet's set up and the way the cross media and media platforms are set up, I hope that that's going to dissolve a lot of those lines.
Switching gears for a second, tell me, we actually had a really great conversation down at the New Jersey Comic Expo last year, and we talked about you breaking into comics. So I want to hear the story of how you stalked Joe Quesada into getting you a job.
Well, it was quite some time ago when the internet was a little bit more Wild West. And I've been working for years in restaurants. I've been everything from a dishwasher to a head chef. And it's a lot of work. It's a lot of hours. You work holidays. You work 10-hour shifts. It's kind of it's rewarding. And this is before everything food-related became so enticing to everyone, before there were networks dedicated to who can make foie gras. And
which I still can't for some reason.
I've gotten really tired of it. The other side is that most people who go into business and open a restaurant don't know how to run a restaurant. So I was talking to Joe online and sort of harassing him and pitching him ideas. And the people I was working for in this one restaurant, everyone had sort of not showed up at one point heading into the weekend. And I was like, you know what? If you guys need me so much, I'm I can afford to leave for the weekend. I can afford to go to Wizard World in Chicago with absolutely no plans or anything in place, no hotel room. So that's what I did. I jumped in my truck and I drove from New York to Chicago, and I got into town and I took out a phone book and found a hotel that had a room. And then I got to the room, and then I took out another phone book, which when they had phone books, and I looked and I called every hotel looking for Joe Quesada and Jimmy Palmiotti's room so I could talk to them.
Wow.
And finally, somehow I managed to get through to them. They wanted to meet us for the Blade party. This is before the very first Wesley Snipes Blade movie came out. And then, about a month or 2 months later, it was a little hazy to me at this point, I was interning at Marvel Knights.
Okay.
And that was how I got my foot into the door.
And then do you remember? You're like, hey, you're the guy that like stalked us at the Blade party?
No, they knew because I had met them at one point in the city. I'd come down to meet them. I met Joe and Jimmy and Nelson Castro, and
good old Nelson.
We had talked one evening. And after that, I went up, I worked in Marvel offices. It was pretty renegade at that time. I'm not sure how welcome they were at the Marvel offices because they were doing things that were contrary to everything. And, Marvel was obviously going through all of their legal issues.
Yeah,
but I think history tells you that Marvel Knights was a pretty remarkable moment for that.
So you co-created the Monolith, and that is in development at Lionsgate. Are you going to see any of that because it's a DC property? Like, how does that work in terms of like?
Oh, it's not a DC property. We regained the rights to that years ago.
Oh, this is fantastic. See, this is answering.
Yeah, we have been
questions.
petitioning for it. No, it is not DC property, and it just had worked out that we were able to regain the rights, and we knew it was we had a lot of interest from a bunch of different outlets over time, and we knew it wasn't really going to go anywhere unless we kept pushing for it and championing it. And eventually, the rights reverted back to us, and we got in touch with the right people, and now it's in development.
So how much hell is the process of development? Because I know I've had a lot of friends have things in development, and it's just like one of those things like you're waiting by the phone kind of thing.
Well, I think it varies because a lot of the time they don't really want you involved. And the system is sort of set up, and it's just the system. I'm not saying it's individual people or individual studios. It just makes sense. I understand when I look at it on paper. It's just when I look at it emotionally because I'm invested in the property, the characters, and all that. I have a different view of it. But the reality is they want a property. They want to mass produce a property and they want to make the best film possible, no matter what happens, no matter what film you see. On some level, they went into it thinking we're going to make a great movie, and obviously it doesn't always work out that way.
Sure.
But it wasn't. It's not so much development hell; it's just the amount of time that it takes from concept to execution. Is why you saw a lot of people who work for film and TV flocking to comics at a certain point.
This is true as well,
because the turnaround is not as fast at all.
Yeah, I have a buddy who's a director out in Hollywood, does a lot of marketing. He's like, comics are great. He's like, I write it, he draws it,
it gets done.
And it gets done.
It's
amazing.
out on the shelf.
It's amazing.
It's out there before I even write it. That's how quick it is.
You mentioned, you actually mentioned to me, this is pre-show, that graphic novels are being taken off the New York Times bestseller list.
As I understand it, that was as of this month.
Why would they
were taken off.
And how are you going to fix this? This is what I want to know.
It's not, you know what? I think when I look at it, I don't think it's a problem that I can fix because I think
that's not with
I
that
could
attitude.
be completely wrong. No, well, my problem is that if you look at the numbers, and I went back and I looked at over time, I don't have them in front of me, but the same 8, like almost half the list is the same people with incredible success. And you have sporadic things like Love is Love worked its way in there. But for the most part, it has been dominated for a long time by the same books, which to me, as someone that creates, content, it's scary because it just shows you how Marvel and DC don't need to do that. They don't really care about the top 10 bestseller list because they're already existing in their own universe, so to speak. But the reality is like these books that are on that list, there's not enough of them. There's not enough diversity. There's not enough being made. You don't have a turnover and a flow. It's okay if you have Stephen King dominating the 1 or 2 slot for 3 years.
Sure.
But when it's one person who's dominating 4 or 5 slots for that amount of time, it kind of seems like, what's the point? And on a part of me thinks that was some of the reasoning behind it. Like, why have a top 10 bestseller list if there's not enough competition?
That's a great point, actually.
Not enough content coming out that says this demands to displace another thing. Right. Like March has been on there, just, deservedly so. But and Raina Telgemeier books, which my daughter loved, they have been dominating for a really long time, whether she's directly responsible or co-responsible. And to me, that there's a glaring thing right there that says, here's a chance for comics to become something what a lot of people want it to be, so much more mainstream outside of just the things that are Marvel and DC and on the big screen. The chance for it to become more diverse like it is in other countries.
Sure.
And the reality is that the content's not being produced at high enough quality to compete with the market that's there to take over these bestseller lists.
You bring up some excellent points, and it's definitely a conversation we'll have to continue another time. Tell the world where they can find Jailbait and Trailer Trash, and where they can find you as well.
Well, it's currently running on Kickstarter, and I've had a pretty good day, and we're up to a little over 3,300.
What's the goal?
And the initial goal is 9,500 to get the 3 stories. And then there's additional content going up for another almost 20 pages, up as high as, I think, 14.5.
Go out there and get it, people. Go out there right now and pledge this Kickstarter.
A bunch of amazing artists, amazing people to have worked with. Really, if you take a look at the page and you see the diversity of content and the different kinds of people that have come together and helped me work on this, I think it's really worthwhile. I think it's worth your time. Amazing.
Okay. Justin, thank you so much for joining us. And
thank you.
Go find him on social media. Go find the Kickstarter. Go out there.
You can find me on Twitter pretty easily because I'm always getting in trouble on Twitter. So
it's a nice picture of a dog, though. You have that dog looks really sweet.
Yeah, he is sweet. He's right next to me right now. I had to bring him up here.
Justin Gray, DC writer and creator of Jailbait and Trailer Trash, now on Kickstarter. When we come back, we're going to continue our discussion of who should direct the Batman, and I'm going to pose the most important question that hasn't been asked yet.
You're listening to the Talking Alternative Network.
If you have an interest in marijuana, you want to know about marijuana, law, policy, and culture, then feel free to join me, Joseph A. Bondi, every Friday at 11 o'clock in the morning on my show In the Know 420 on TalkingAlternative.com.
Legalize the herb to continue to resist the passage of this necessary legislation.
Hi, this is Rob Kay.
And I'm Callie Alpert.
And we're hosts of The Rob and Callie Show. Are you looking for a show that talks about real stuff like life, love, the pursuit of being yourself?
Then you have come to the right place, because we cover topics ranging from chivalry to gratitude to your relationship with money and everything in between.
So listen to us on The Rob and Callie Show, Tuesdays, 8 to 9 o'clock Eastern Standard Time on talkradio.nyc.
Talking Alternative Radio, 24 hours a day.
Welcome back to Secrets of the Sire. Thank you, James. Said good interview. I appreciate it. We appreciate all the feedback. We're on Facebook, facebook.com/Secrets of the Sire. We're on Periscope at Michael_Dolce. And I want to thank my guest, Justin Gray, DC writer. Awesome dude. Got a lot to say, too. He's got a bedtime routine with his daughter, though. He's got to be in bed. So I was like, I want to make sure.
I want to make their demands.
Hey, look.
Not everyone can be the Lord of the radio.
I got the 1-year-old at home. I completely understand. I completely understand.
I don't understand. I have no kids.
So, we're going to jump back into the Ben Affleck talk, but Sam just asked a very important question that I'm supposed to ask Hassan is, how is The Great Wall going to do? I thought it didn't it already flop? Did it come out?
It flopped like the minute I heard about it.
Right.
As far as I was concerned, you know? And then I jumped into the future and I made sure. So it's going to flop. No worries.
Is it out yet? I don't even think it's out, right?
I think it is. I think it's...
Is it already on DVD?
Yeah, it's on Channel 7, in the afternoon. Jeff Gomez. I spoke to Jeff Gomez very briefly about it last week.
Okay.
Excuse me, on the way to the train, and he basically laughed the entire time. And I think he's seen it. And he says, I think his reaction was, it's exactly what you think it is, except worse. So there you go. I don't know what that means.
Our guest last week
was
Jeff Gomez of Starlight Runner Entertainment. He's got his ear.
Yes, he does.
He's got more than
he's got everything to the ground.
More than just his ear to the ground. Because
he's listening with his hands.
Well, he's also involved in a lot of these studio projects and with his company, and so he gets kind of the inside scoop on a lot of things. And so
he would know if the Great Wall was.
Poor Matt Damon.
No,
he really needed
Matt
that
Damon
winner.
is fine.
He really needed that winner.
He probably didn't even take money for that movie.
No, he probably took a lot. In fact, he probably took. He probably sat
he
there
did a
going
whole
like,
movie with $100 million smile.
He read the script and said,
the director's like, Matt, you're supposed to be upset now. He's like, I can't stop smiling. I'm sorry. I'm just going to play this whole thing happy.
All right. So we were talking about the Batman because obviously continuing. Now, again, if you like any of this stuff, even if you like the theme music to our show, you can actually get it on our SoundCloud account, soundcloud.com/Secrets of the Sire. That last song is called Command the Room. Scroll all the way down. You can actually get a recording of it with words and all that fun stuff. Very appropriate to our time.
All that fun stuff.
Oh,
I think
man.
I even have a copy of that with the words.
I will send you anything you need. I have like all the recordings we did. So
we'll talk.
It's a weird coincidence that you ended up becoming the co-host.
Yeah, a little bit.
It's very strange.
Actually. I don't know how that worked out.
I'm actually being serious. Usually I'm very sarcastic, but now that I'm like actually putting it together, I'm like, wait a minute. I did not choose this theme song. I did not choose this music.
No,
I chose it because I own the rights to it.
Mm-hmm.
Like our first day here at when it was Talking Alternative. Now we're talkradio.nyc. Sam's like, use music, but it's got to be copyright free.
Well, I chose the show because of the music.
Oh, that's a good point, actually.
So I know why I'm here. You just don't know why.
It works both ways. All right, excellent. So, anyway, again, back what we were talking about. Ben Affleck is not going to direct it. Matt Reeves, Planet of the Apes, was supposed to direct it. Now he's backing away. As Jeff Gomez said last week, some bad stuff is going down. But it leads me to the bigger question, though, right? Like, do we even need this Batman movie?
No.
Right?
Nope.
Like, we don't even need this thing, right?
No, we don't.
So...
That discussion's over.
No, it's not, though, and I'll tell you why it's not, though. Because I'm actually going to go counterpoint to you just to say this, though, at the same time.
There's no way. Come with it.
Ben Affleck was the best part of that Batman movie, I think, or one of the best parts
Batman
of the
Superman?
Yeah.
All right, fair enough.
It did actually get me kind of excited now. And it's like one of those things, it's almost like it got me too excited to a point where had they just never announced the Batman, I would have been just fine. We don't need another Batman movie. So I agree with you 100%.
Right.
But now that they kind of teased it a little bit, and then it was like, wow, Ben Affleck is going to do this. This is great. We should do this. It's awesome. Okay, well, he's not going to direct, but at least he's still going to be in it. He kind of doesn't want to be in it anymore. All right, well, we're going to get the guy from Planet of the Apes, which I don't know if it's that great
That's like the scenario.
My voice, I can't even control it. And now it's like...
That's like, that scenario that says that things are getting bad quicker than I can lower my standards.
Just terrible. Just like really terrible now. It's like it got us all excited. It got us very, very excited.
It got you excited. I don't really get excited. I wasn't excited about
nothing
Affleck.
excites you. There's a huge difference.
Yes. Well, explosions excite me, but that's only because they're right next to me. But now, well, look, if Affleck had made a Batman movie and it came out and it was good, I'd have been absolutely happy about it.
Yeah.
I think he looked a little frumpy in the suit, personally, but a lot of people like it.
Yeah.
I respect the people who like it. It's very Dark Knight.
Sure.
So it works.
Very racially Dark Knight?
Yes. Very, very dark-skinned Knight.
Yeah.
But... we don't need it.
We don't need it,
We just
right?
got off of a trilogy. And
as Joe Mulvey just pointed out, Lego Batman hit all the character points.
Yes, Lego Batman. Get off Lego Batman.
No, we did a whole show on it last week.
No,
In fact,
that was last
you guys
week,
should
man.
all
You were
download
living in
that
the
show.
past, Dolce.
Yeah, it's true. I very much
Join me.
I think when we have the creator of that '90s podcast on in a couple weeks, we're just going to be
We're just
living
gonna be in the
ultimately.
90s. I'll go back to the 90s.
Like, how great was the '90s?
90s
right?
was fantastic.
Like it was a haven. Like if you were a music,
There was music on the radio, kids.
I know.
On
the popular
the radio. Yes.
On the popular radio.
MTV showed videos.
Yeah, that you know what? I'll
No.
say this.
There were videos of actual popular music on MTV day and night.
Yes. No, I agree with that.
discovered music.
Yes.
I discovered
Yes.
bands while watching MTV. Can you do that now?
Well, no, but you have YouTube for that now.
You have to look for
really
it though.
find. I know.
And they used
We
to
are
come
extremely
right
lazy
to my
people.
living room when I
Right,
was
exactly.
Well, I've
I
been
know.
lazy since I was
know.
born.
I know.
I didn't even I was a doctor did that. And I blame him.
What other franchises
Smacked me right on
do
my
we
ass.
not need anymore? Like Spider-Man's the first thing that comes to my mind, right?
Franchise we don't need anymore. We don't need any more Fantastic Four.
That's a great. That's a
Freaktastic Four.
Well,
we do
okay,
not need.
no. Here's the thing, right? So Spider-Man. The reason I say that, I think it's oversaturation, right?
Of course.
Like we've had
Of
5
course.
movies plus an appearance in Civil War plus the new movies coming out this
Right.
week,
Which may be great.
and it might be great. But
Not
they've
this
kinda-
week. Is it this week?
No, not this week. This year. Sorry.
Okay.
This year, this week, whatever.
It's close.
So we've seen so much stuff here. Scott Klein says, just regained consciousness from you suggesting M. Night. What did I miss? That's good stuff.
You missed a little bit, Scott.
That's good stuff.
You missed
That's
a little
good
bit.
stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. One day we'll talk about signs. One day we'll have a long talk about it.
I enjoyed Signs, but not as much as the Village.
No.
Not as much as
Keep
The Village.
going.
I like The
Original
Village.
subject.
You don't like The Village?
You're burning time.
You don't like The Village?
You're burning time.
Oh,
we don't have
man.
time for it.
Oh,
we don't
man.
have
We
time
got a whole
for it.
show on that.
Yeah, I'm telling you, we have.
like
I got
The
an
Village.
encyclopedia of stuff to talk to you about
stuff
that.
on that. Big stuff on that.
Don't you worry.
No Fantastic Four. But now here's the
No
intriguing thing about
Fantastic
Fantastic Four. They never got one right. Spider-Man at least got, like, you could pinpoint to, like,
Spider-Man
1
2?
or 2. Right,
Spider-Man
Spider-Man
2.
2 is amazing.
Yes.
I think even the original Spider-Man has, like, some charm to it.
It's all right.
Amazing Spider-Man, the visuals were
The
awesome.
visuals, the
Like,
Amazing
web
Spider-Man was the first
swinging.
time that they really got that
like,
all together.
That was awesome. So, like, there's some wins in that column.
There are a couple of wins.
Fantastic Four just had losses
No,
after
it was all
losses
bad.
after
It was
losses.
all bad.
Right.
All the way back to the original Marvel Fantastic Four,
like-
way back when, where the Thing was wearing a rubber suit.
So do we need it or no?
No.
Do I kind of want to give him another chance? I don't
Of
know.
Fantastic Four?
I don't know.
What are you talking about?
I don't know. All right.
No.
When
Do
we
I want
come
another
back-
beating? Let
When
me
we
think.
come back, I would like to see the Facebook feed blow up. I want your suggestions. What comic book movies do we not? What characters do we not need to see anymore? And what comic book franchises should we see that we haven't seen yet? When we come back.
You're listening to the Talking Alternative Network.
Are you into comics, movies, and pop culture at large? What about music and TV? Then you're in for a treat. This is Michael Dolce, your host on TalkingAlternative.com. I've been professionally writing comic books, screenplays, and music articles for almost 15 years. Catch my show, Secrets of the Sire, at its new primetime slot, Wednesdays, 8 p.m. Eastern Time, and get the inside scoop on the pop culture universe you love to talk about. For more info, go to secretsofthesire.com.
TalkingAlternative.com.
Welcome back to Secrets of the Sire. If you want to get into the Facebook chat, which it's blowing up over here, which is awesome, you you got to just join us every Wednesday night, 8 p.m. Eastern, talkradio.nyc. We are on iTunes. It's the podcast, though, of the show. So if you want to get in the conversation, join us live. You could always call in as well, too, 877-480-4120. So definitely pick up the phone if you'd like to. We got a lot of responses to the question of what comic book movies do we need not see anymore, and what comic book movies should we see. But first, we have a special guest, Mr. Peter Aiken in the back here. He's gonna chime in on the Great Wall.
Great Wall, massive financial flop. 26 million domestically in the U.S. 260 million overall globally. 170 million of which was from China itself.
So China basically are like, hey, you're making a movie about China with a white dude because that's good.
We want that.
They wanted.
We want that.
We will give you money for that. China has all the money, right?
Yes.
All the money. They've got my money.
They've pretty much got all the money.
They came in here a little earlier and took the money out of my wallet. It was China. It wasn't a Chinese guy. It was all China.
So I asked the audience as well, too, moving on to movies we want to see. Franchises we don't want to see anymore. Charles T. Bostic III, X-Men. X-Men movie franchise. Do we need another X-Men movie?
No.
Now, next week, we are going to go full Logan, by the way, which is going to be awesome.
Yeah,
and that's
we're going to go full Logan.
The reviews on Logan...
sounds like it hurts.
The reviews on Logan are, like, just blowing everyone away. Everyone is... I mean, not just comic book people who love Wolverine, but people are like, wow, this is actually a great movie.
Well, it had a Johnny Cash song in the trailer.
Wow, it's got to be good then.
That's a win immediately, right?
Does Wolverine count as an X-Men movie now?
Yeah.
So,
he's in the continuity.
What about Deadpool now? I mean, we're going to see Deadpool 2. Does that count?
Deadpool is questionable. It's questionable as to whether it works in the continuity.
Okay.
Because of Colossus. So Colossus, they can say it works in the continuity, but then they can also say it doesn't. Because Colossus was different in both franchises. And,
we got a couple responses. Milk and Cheese, which is a comic from the 90s.
Someone schooled me on it.
What's his name? Evan, something. We'd like to see that one. Jeffrey Neary, Sandman.
Yeah, Sandman. That would be good.
I think they're making that.
That would be good. They've been trying to make that for
in
a
development.
long time.
So we should bring Justin Gray back on and talk about development hell again.
Absolutely.
I want to thank him again for joining us. Christina Gillen, we need a remake of Gen X, the made-for-TV movie.
Yeah, that was.
Well, she's acknowledging that it was terrible.
It was terrible.
Evan Dorkin.
So we do.
Thank you.
We could use a new one. We definitely could use.
Could we use a new one?
Is Gen X even a comic book anymore though?
No,
Is it working?
It's pretty much. It's gone the way of Nick Fury.
Yeah. So
Nick Fury's now completely like Samuel L. Jackson.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we went from.
Now Scott Klein disagrees with you and says FF needs to be redone just as Daredevil needed to be redone to show what it can be.
Scott
Get
Klein
it right.
doesn't know what he's talking about. We also need a Signs 2, Scott Klein. All right. We need a sequel to Signs. There you go.
Joel Movie says no comic properties off the board. They just need to be handled by the right people. Studio.
Oh my God. That's just like that's like no operation is fatal. You just need the right doctor. I mean, give me a break. That's
but that's the thing. Like Spider-Man is a great example of movies. It was done right. I'm tired of seeing a Spider-Man. And I love Spider-Man, and I'm like, I don't want to see it anymore.
I'm
I don't need to see another one.
I'm oversaturated on Iron Man. And I love Robert Downey Jr.
I agree with that,
he was great in the role, but I'm done.
I agree with that as well, too.
Okay.
I agree with that, too. Don't need to see that. Joe Mulvey also said would love to see an Authority movie. R-rated movie.
Yeah.
Oh, Peter Aiken, special guest observer. Big thumbs up. Big thumbs up.
We could do another Watchmen, like a more solid one. What? No. What do you mean no?
Was it long enough?
What? Yeah, I want an extended version.
I want
a Peter Jackson 18-hour version of Watchmen.
The reason I say no is because I think he pretty much tried to faithfully adapt that thing. Mm-hmm. It's going to be essentially the exact same movie you just saw.
Tried.
No, I get it, but what could he have done differently to make Watchmen successful?
I don't know. Made a good movie. Maybe halfway. We don't have time for me to go into the details. We can just get
that's always his excuse.
I know. It's a good one.
We could be at the beginning of the show. I could be like, "Hey, welcome, Secrets of the Sire, comic book movie podcast."
You got
Hassan, talk to me about this. No, we ain't got time. But we literally have the entire hour.
My whole radio career is telling people I don't have time to talk to them, and it's been working. So I'm the clever one.
And somehow he's made it on the radio.
Yeah,
and that's the best part.
I'm the one who's clever.
It's like Hassan. I'd like your opinions. You ain't got time for my opinions.
Time for my opinions.
Hire this man. All right, so keep them coming because we'll keep shooting out the ideas.
I'm trying to think of what we could see as I'd like to see a good Daredevil movie.
But I think the TV shows now suffice.
TV shows
like, I don't need to see a Daredevil
we already
movie.
talked about like the slightly oversaturation on 12 episodes,
Yep.
but yeah, the TV show is good. But I'm just if we're going off of which movies that we've already had that we could see again, we could see.
Would you want to see a Blade? Would you want to see another Blade movie?
I'd love to see another Blade movie.
See, now that's what I'm talking about when it comes to Spider-Man. I think you need to have like a good 10, 15 years lapse.
True.
Between actually seeing the movie, and then I'll get excited for it.
Hey, I thought it was too soon to do another Total Recall movie. And
well, it clearly was.
Yes,
it clearly
I
was.
was about to make that point. And it doesn't. Sometimes the time lapse does not make up for it.
It is way too soon to remake any movie that should not be remade. Like Total Recall in '85 was just awesome, and you just like why
87.
would you 87, sure. Why would you do it?
Yeah, we need another Die Hard movie. Let's do Die Hard again.
Right, like we don't need to see that.
I just said we did.
See, Brian Everman says Watchmen was sweet. I thought it was good. Jeffrey Neary says do a Moon Knight movie or a Squirrel Girl. Forget Squirrel Girl.
Yeah.
What's up with Squirrel Girl?
The intern loves the Moon Knight idea. He's a calm down there, intern.
I'm going to go, you know what? If I make it to the Marvel Universe and I get to write the Marvel Universe, I'm just going to create a character.
Wait, is that a plan? Do you have a plan to get into the Marvel Universe and write the whole Marvel Universe?
You ain't got time to hear my plan.
I ain't got time to hear your plan. I ain't got time to ask that question again.
I'm going to create a character like Squirrel Girl who's going to just completely reinvent the entire backstory of Marvel
Wow.
and be like, you know what?
And you're going to be loved by fandom.
They love that Squirrel Girl.
adored.
They're like, she beats up Wolverine. He's the best there is what he does. Well, not anymore. Not anymore. Not when I get
Not
through
that
right
I'm
now.
done.
Not-
That's all right. That was terrible.
I don't know how to segue past this.
No,
but,
that's a bad
all right,
one.
so keep them coming. Keep them coming. We want to hear it. Even the poor.
What?
Even the poor.
That brings up the question: is the world ever going to be ready for a Sentry movie?
Sentry movie. Oh, I don't think so. I think it's too meta. I think it's too like superhero meta.
Meta. Wow.
A Sentry Netflix. So
You know
Sentry
what?
Netflix would work.
Actually, if we're talking about if we're going back a little bit, Alien Legion, I always thought was a great comic book. Now that might be a little before your time, Dolce.
What's
Young
that?
man. It was a DC.
Oh, Alien
comic.
Legion.
Yeah.
Oh,
It was
yeah.
It was an
good
Eclipse.
stuff. Yeah,
It was an
good
Eclipse.
stuff,
But
yeah.
Man, that was one of my favorite books back in the day. Strike
see
Force
that.
Morituri.
I could see that.
That was another great book. You know, if we're just talking about that now, everyone tuned out. Like everyone just stopped watching because they don't know what I'm talking about. That's like really.
Yeah.
Flux.
That was a
not
movie.
a comic. That was not a comic. No, it wasn't. It was a
It
cartoon.
was. I think the comic was based on the cartoon.
Sam was like, "You're splitting hairs. Shut up."
Sam's just happy to be
keep
involved.
talking, Lord of
Sam's
the
the
Radio.
Ringo Starr.
Yeah.
It's like I'm just happy to be here.
He just looked at me like, "Shut up, dude." Cartoons, comics is all the same. It's just keep going on with your shit.
All right, keep them coming. Let us know what you think. We should be. I think there's a ton of things I'd love to see. The Sentry one is a very interesting one as well too.
interesting.
That was Peter back
Moon
there.
Knight, I think, would be a great idea though. Moon Knight, we could do. You could get that Guardians of the Galaxy crowd for that sort of ish.
I think that begs the question though. Like, I mean, at what point do you just reach a point where it's like another superhero? Like, what does this guy do? Like, what is this? Like, what does Moon Knight do that's any different than anybody else like out there? Except he like wears all white, you know, like cloak and dagger, you know.
Well, come on.
that was enough for Patrick.
Batman's-
Patrick, our intern back there, is like, yes, he wears white. That's all I need.
Batman's dressed
Put me
like a
down.
bat, you know, and look how they milk that.
Yeah, but it's Batman. He's been around. He's got
Moon
some
Knight.
Oh, Moon. Well, yeah, no, he's pretty awful, right? Moon Knight as a character, right? Like, what does he do?
Well, I'm not
Egyptian something or other, resurrected Egyptian god
you don't
or
know
something.
who Moon Knight is.
I know, no, he is. That's what he is, though. It's like the guy is like the resurrected some sort of.
What's wrong with?
I'm just saying, after a while you're gonna. I feel like the public is gonna look at something like that and say, why am
pass.
I like why? Yeah, exactly.
Like Gerald
why?
Butler as an Egyptian god,
right? Exactly.
That's what you're saying.
You know, no. Like I've reached this point where I'm like, no, like just no. I'm not
Okay.
gonna do it. I'm
All
not
right.
gonna do it.
Fair enough.
So.
Yeah,
Sandman though, I think
Ant-Man.
visually.
You said Ant-Man.
Oh, Ant-Man.
Ant-Man works. If you pull off Ant-Man, you can do anything. You could do anything.
I agree
want
with
a
you.
I want a Power Pack movie.
I'll say this
For
though,
little kids. Yeah.
I'll say this though. I think that
New Mutants.
there are a bunch of people. I think even Randy Hogan last time, maybe it was Randy. I don't know if it was one of our esteemed loyal fans of the show. Had said like, "Hey, oh no, it wasn't. No, it was Todd Sliss, who's a friend of mine on Facebook. Well, I like to credit, but I still like crediting Randy because he's awesome. But I want to credit Todd. He said, I don't know much. I didn't know much about Legion at all. I just saw the Marvel logo and I said, I'll DVR it. So there's a lot of people that. So Ant-Man, I think, is riding the wave of that now. But again, Ant-Man's now like 3 years old, 2 years old. I mean, at this point now, DC has put their hat in the ring and has completely oversaturated the market. You've got other. I think
which is funny because they've only done 2 movies.
Yeah, but they've been so
they flooded the market. Well, three.
You've got 3, and now you've got like 4 lined up for this year.
Yeah,
or 3 lined up for this year in addition to the 3 lined up.
What if they don't suck though, and then it just shifts the dynamic?
All right, we're gonna continue this next week. We're gonna talk Logan next week, but before we go, I got to get this in. Got to get this in very quickly.
Hurry up.
Very spinning the racks. Indian teenager believed to be dead wakes up on way to funeral. Some odd news for everybody. I just thought that was a pretty cool thing.
That happened to me Saturday.
I'm going to post this on the Facebook page. This has been Secrets of the Sire. Thank you, guys. Thank you, everybody on Facebook, facebook.com/Secrets of the Sire. Thank you on Periscope. Thank you to our esteemed patrons as well, too, which I didn't give a shout-out to.
Yeah.
Einar Peterson, Matt Beyer, John Hoff III, Ashley Haikai, Program Director Stephanie Dolce, Executive Producer Steve Ovecki, Brian Phillips, Uber fan Christina Dolce, and our newest patron, Omar Morales. And go check out his Golden Age Kickstarter. It's going on now. It's been Secrets of the Sire. We'll talk next week.
Good night.
You're listening to the Talking Alternative Network.
Hello, I'm JC.
I'm Joan. And welcome to 21st Century Entrepreneur.
We bring education,
insight,
knowledge,
awareness,
trouble,
craziness, and fun
for you, the entrepreneur who's looking to build your business
and your community. Listen every Friday from noon to 1 Eastern on talkradio.nyc. And you can tweet us at 21st CE Radio or Talk Alternative.
Hey, all you crazy listeners. Looking to boost your business? Why not advertise on Talking Alternative with very reasonable rates? Interested? Simply email at info@talkingalternative.com.
Are you into comics, movies, and pop culture at large? What about music and TV? Then you're in for a treat. This is Michael Dolce, your host on talkingalternative.com. I've been professionally writing comic books, screenplays, and music articles for almost 15 years. Catch my show, Secrets of the Sire, at its new primetime slot, Wednesdays, 8 p.m. Eastern Time, and get the inside scoop on the pop culture universe you love to talk about. For more info, go to secretsofthesire.com.
You're listening to the Talking Alternative Network at www.talkingalternative.com. Now, broadcasting 24 hours a day. Talking Alternative.
Hi, this is Rob Kay.
And I'm Callie Alpert.
And we're hosts of The Rob and Callie Show. Are you looking for a show that talks about real stuff like life, love, the pursuit of being yourself?
Then you have come to the right place, because we cover topics ranging from chivalry to gratitude to your relationship with money and everything in between.
So listen to us on The Rob and Callie Show, Tuesdays, 8 to 9 o'clock Eastern Standard Time on talkradio.nyc.
Are you a conscious co-creator? Are you on a quest to raise your vibration and your consciousness? I'm Sam Leibowitz, your conscious consultant, and on my show, The Conscious Consultant Hour, Awakening Humanity, we will touch upon all these topics and more. Listen live at our new time on Thursdays at 12 noon Eastern Time. That's The Conscious Consultant Hour, Awakening Humanity, Thursdays, 12 noon on talkradio.nyc.
You're listening to the Talking Alternative Network.